but we could have like 30-minute conversations that consisted of nothing but Simpsons quotes. That's my story for now. I'll come back later.
Hey, how's it going? That phone greeting was the most loved and well sought after phone greeting of all times, because you never be having a bad day and you look at your phone and his dentist calling, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? But he's always thinking of you. He was always calling you to make sure you're okay, always calling to make sure everything's cool with you. I haven't heard from you guys in a while. Dennis was the most caring person, and he did it in ways that they were quiet, but they were there. It was great. When we snuck up on a bunch of guys who were sleeping on our friend Dave Knocker's bluff, Dennis contacts me. He's like, I got an idea. So right there I'm like, hey Mom, I'm going to Dennis's house. And of course my mom thought that Dennis walked on water, and all we did was play card games and never did anything else. And so he got a giant 3-man slingshot, and he decided we were going to sneak up behind like Knockerts and all those guys and shoot watermelons at him from a secret location. So he had that big red truck of his that was, made noise like 7 miles away. And, yeah, it was all made of, it was basically made of rusted plates, bolted onto more rusted plates. So we're sneaking down back roads. And of course, Dennis was like, Buddha, it's just a quick walk. So 7 miles later, it felt like we're walking, hugging watermelons in a sack with this. I'm like, but he's like, oh, it'll be great. It'll be so great. Just come on, keep going. Only 1 more mile. But that was like 3 more miles later.
But that was when Dennis also, it's important to remember, was in cross country.
Yeah, Dennis would run like mile after mile. I was like, come on, Buddha, it's good for you. So we get up there, and we're trying to be quiet and stealthy, but when Dennis got happy, so we started launching these watermelons over these pine trees, and also you hear, boom, what the fuck? Boom, who the hell? and everyone's getting mad, but of course Dennis is like, well, I feel bad now. Hey, it's me, it's Dennis. You guys okay? All's forgiven, but yeah, that was Dennis.
I always agree where Dennis usually would greet me with, hey, hey, hey. He always had that chuckle as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you get there in the evening, he'd always have a nice blender full of margarita. Between that or brats.
Dennis, what do you want to eat? Cheeseburger, strawberry milkshake. Okay.
I made the mistake of making pesto and margarita. So naturally, he had to get 3 more. And then I got at least the background.
He kept it by his gaming rig, didn't he?
Oh, well, it doesn't help that his mother-in-law was giving him individual ones.
That didn't really happen. Anyway, I'm telling the story. So anyway, we're playing this game where you get these little challenges, and it's Gen Con, which people don't know is it's a gaming convention and kind of like cosplay convention and just a regular nerd fest. So Dennis gets a challenge to put on these fairy wings.
So there's a part of the game called the Wheel of Doom.
Yeah.
And you spin the wheel, and the wheel determines your misfortune. And in this case, it was to put on a pair of fairy wings, a tiara, hold a wand, and
watch me do my kooky dance as I shake my kooky pants. We had to tell somebody, and they picked the person dressed as a nun.
Well, no, that is not correct. We got to choose who it was, and I turned, and there is an honest-to-God nun. Not somebody dressed as a nun.
She was an honest nun.
She was a nun. And I said, and anybody else would have just said, no, I'm not doing that. But Dennis,
okay.
And he goes over, and we can't hear anything, so it's from 60 feet, you just see Dennis going in front of this nun, and the nun's face is...
Yep, he was not cosplaying.
Yeah, no, she was a true nun, yeah.
That was a nun.
He said, hey guys, I don't think she liked it.
And he didn't hold any grudges about that because it was a pretty dick move. Oh.
Just like, so around hour 3, I'll be sitting there eating an apple. People are like, we leave? Is he still doing this? Great. And then I'll start talking about how to build this, and I'll read the instructions for an air conditioner. Like, yeah, Dennis, okay, yeah.
So I went to UWO with Dennis. And the house I lived in, I had one of our roommates moved out, and so we had a free room that turned into our game room. Dennis and I had a long-running BattleTech campaign. If you know anything about BattleTech, you're piloting a 30-foot tall, 100-ton robot thing, right? And so he would kind of run the games, and we'd have battles. And one of my favorite memories, the one I tell everyone, is so we were college students, right? And it's spring, and so the weather's changing. It's getting really nice outside, and there we are and gaming, with each other in this room, rolling dice, and these little toys on the table. And I look out the window, and it's because it's spring. All the college students are walking around. The pretty girls are walking around, right? So I look out the window. I say, Dennis, look at that. As a beautiful woman's going by, we both go, oh yeah. So anyway, I rolled a 6. Back to it, right? Like, as he reaches in and scoops out a handful of his cheesy popcorn. That was just what we did, right? We just gamed together. Yeah.
Well, then he joined the Sig Taos, which is a friend of ours, got him into. I remember the day he came home and he met you, and he was dancing on air. So, from the first day he met you.
Mark?
Yes. Which, at first I was like, Dennis? But he's like, yeah, okay.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I think you like Star Wars. Okay, good. So, no, I remember getting a call to pick you guys up that one time at a party because there had been too much drunk. Could you bring us back to the Blueberry Buddha? Yeah. But no, I remember very fondly when he met you. And then me driving you around when he was too drunk to drive. Right.
An observation I made to someone earlier that occurred to me in the last few days as I thought about today is Dennis was the best at being a friend. He was very active in reaching out to you. He would make things happen. If you didn't call him for a month, he still would try to call you. And if you didn't pick up, he'd still try to call you the next time. And he didn't really hold a grudge. Well, no, there were some exceptions to that. but if you gave the least amount of effort, like, he was still going to be an amazing friend.
Well, I blame Dennis. I'm still hanging around you guys. It's his fault. Like, hey, we're gonna get together. You're gonna make it. Okay. Dennis was, as you put it, the most honest friend I've ever met in my life. Because he truly missed everybody. He wanted to hang out with everybody. And it didn't have to be a big ordeal. Didn't have to be a complicated situation. He was very happy in that, either in the original Mauston game room over on Wood, or in the Blueberry, or in his own basement. Like, Dennis's basement was home for a lot of us for many years, where we'd drive from Green Bay or La Crosse or wherever, like all across the state, just to hang out there and
Fly from other states.
fly from other states and get sick on milkshakes. That's another story entirely. But Dennis built a home for a lot of people, and we're all of us in our 40s now, and we have friendships that lasted for over 2-3 decades because of him.
if any of you have played through the woods out back.
On that golf cart, quite a bit.
Paintball in the middle of the night out there.
Yeah, Dennis also introduced me to what it's like to get shot by the paintball by a slingshot. Doesn't feel good at all. Hey, Buddha, so if you don't want to buy a gun, just use a slingshot. It's not going to hurt. It hurts. It hurts a lot. Especially, Dennis used to have the eye of the tiger. Bam! Yeah, those woods were the site of many a battle to the death, and he won them all. On that old golf cart, driving around him like it was a tank. He was fantastic.
I heard that golf cart snake, and it wasn't Dennis's fault. It was his friend's.
That's a story for another time.
First time I ever met Dennis was at my wedding. And Laura was my maid of honor, and I knew he was coming later in the day, and all of a sudden, this guy just comes walking naturally down strolling down the path, and it was like, you must be Carolyn, and it's like, you must be Dennis, and he was just so easy to be around, and then I knew what she was going. And then their wedding was a ton of fun. And the trains and Star Wars cupcakes.
That was his wedding.
He managed to get brownie points with my parents for it. So.
He was very thoughtful at the wedding too. Like all the guys in the wedding, he didn't make us rent tuxedos or anything like that. He's like, I got this deal, JCPenney, $99. These suits will last you the rest of your life. And they have. I have used mine as recently as last year. So.
And my other big memory from their wedding is you put a group of Dennis's friends around the altar at the front of a church. And all of a sudden I look across and one of them starts laughing. And then another of them starts laughing, and I don't even know what laughing is about. And then all of the bridesmaids start. And I don't fully remember what Dennis did or said, but it was something.
I don't know how much of a polite company story to say.
It's okay, this won't get out of here.
Zoom in.
Is this live?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I know now. Yeah.
So, did you guys see the time?
You know, I will say this though. Dennis had a knack of embarrassing you when you least expected it. So he's met a bunch of me and my.
You.
Yeah, just me. I got him again. Yeah. He came with a bunch of my cop buddies, and he's like, "Do they know you play D&D, Buddha?" I'm like, what? He likes to play as a female gnome illusionist. It's his favorite character. And he starts going on about how I play a gnome with pink hair. I'm like, what? I don't. No, I don't. I don't know how to play that. No. And they're like, what the heck is D&D? Like, oh, and Dennis like, oh, yeah, Dennis. Dennis. His second favorite character is a female elf. Like, no, Dennis, stop. Yeah,
Actually, speaking of the elf races characters, one of the first memories I have, because I have no memories of my childhood, I just have that memory, was Dennis showing me World of Warcraft, and the first ever character I played was an elf race, and now even like in Skyrim and D&D, like I always choose elf race first before I try anything else.
That's Dennis and everything
Yeah.
he plays. He's the most beautiful elf you've ever seen.
with a secret backstory nobody knows.
Empress or a princess.
The thing I remember about World of Warcraft with Dennis was
Oh, I'm dead.
we were on voice chat, and he would be off doing something else while we were in groups or whatever, right? And you'd hear from him,
I'm dead.
I died. It's like, what's happening? Oh,
Oh, I'm dead.
all the time.
Oh, jeez. Where are you on the map? I didn't even see you.
Every summer is a good challenge to see who would best between the driver of the boat or the tubist. Most of the time lost.
Yeah, Dennis knew I couldn't swim. So I'll tell you the full story. So first Brian and Dennis are going up to Ladysmith to go camping, and there's a tornado, and Dennis knows I was scared of storms at that time too. And we were driving that Woody station wagon you guys had, pulling that boat with one windshield wiper working. And I'm like, Dennis, can you see okay? He's like, oh yeah, I can see fine. Next he's like, I couldn't see anything. Well, I didn't want to scare Buddha. I know he's so scared. I just kept driving. Hope was on the road. I didn't know I was going. So we get into the town of Ladysmith and Bruce. There's like a train engine on its side, and there's a roof torn off a building. He's like, oh, that's when he admitted he couldn't see anything, and he almost died. So then we get to the lake, and he's like, oh, Buddha, you'll be okay. Just sit in the front of the boat. That's the safest spot to be. And I'll take it really easy on you. Like, okay, sure. And he power drives that thing, and we're standing straight up like, ah! Buddha. Yeah. Yes. I couldn't see.
Driving literally behind a tornado.
Yeah.
We didn't know it at the time.
Well, like 2 miles.
There
We're
was
behind
a
the tornado.
right
We followed it in town. I couldn't be on the road. I couldn't see. I couldn't see anything. I didn't want to scare Buddha, so I just kept driving. I was following that weird cloud going round and round. Yeah, okay. I'll kill you, Dad. Oh.
The weekend of Buddha's fears, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Dennis had an innocence that I always appreciated every time I was with him. One of the biggest ones that made me realize that I would never forget this, and this is the guy I wanted to be around as much as I could. We were in his basement playing HeroClix, which is basically these superhero guys that you'll put on a board and fight over, and I am high-strung, to say the least. Yes, I'm also very competitive.
You like to win.
So I'm there trying to plan out the best move I can do with this character. I'm setting up little pieces on this board so I know how far they can move. Going over, Dennis is chatting, and he realizes that I've taken too long going. And he looks at the board, and I don't know what went through his head, but all he did was take all the pieces I'd set up, moved them off the board. I'm assuming because he thought they were in my way, and that's why I was taking so long, because I couldn't see the board. He's like, so are you going to go now? And I'm like, I'm not even mad. This is amazing. I'll go now. And that's just the experience I had. He had such an innocence. He always wanted you to be happy, to have fun, and it was always amazing to be with him.
Yeah.
In the last year or two, Dennis and I would. Josh is my friend who lives in Colorado, and I met where I work at Cal Poly. We would talk about technology stuff with each other. And
You're
Dennis,
John?
Yeah, I'm John.
Hi.
And I'm John, by the way, everybody. I'm part of the 8 Degrees of Separation of World of Warcraft because I know Andy, and Andy knows John. Is married to Darcy, who's your cousin, and then Dennis is that's the 7 Degrees of Separation of Kevin Bacon that World of Warcraft creates.
Yeah, we're here because of Joe. It's all Joe's fault.
Yeah, I'll blame Joe. Yeah. So we would talk about technology stuff because we both work in the industry, and I'm like, this is really cool. This is a really good deal. I don't know if I should buy it or not. And then Dennis would fly in and then order it for himself, and he would do this again and again and again. I mean, I think he bought like 15 hard drives that way. He bought like video cards this way. He just kept doing it. And I was like, Dennis, do you need that stuff? And he's like, well, it's a really good deal. I should get it. And I'm like, do you need another one of those, though? Oh, okay. Yeah, I do.
That explains why he held my 7-year-old PC in such disdain, though.
Dennis loved making old hardware work and then make me do my real job with Dennis, make really crappy hardware for hours over TeamSpeak. or over Discord, and we would try to set up servers, we'd try to set up stuff in his basement, and just, I don't know why I let him keep doing it to me, because he wouldn't stop asking me. He just keep, he's Dennis, eventually he breaks you down in some way.
I gotta help this guy, yeah.
He just won't stop I'm really having a hard time with this, like, would you rather play a video game? Yeah, let's do that. And then he'd ask you, like, while you're playing the game about different things that were broken and how to fix them, and eventually he'd get me to do it every time.
If it makes you feel any better, he also offered up his services to me.
And if it makes you feel any better, there's more free movies saved on Friends hard drives. It's okay, I'm a detective. So, it's okay. Please tell me. No, because of you now, I basically have my own personal Denflix. Yeah, thank you.
Everyone wants to talk to Mac Dennis's whole collection, backed up so others can watch it.
Denflix.
Invariably, anytime we would get together, there would be another 2 or 3 movies that Buddha would have somehow talked Dennis into giving him access to.
Yeah.
Hey, I think your password, it changed. What did you give me?
Yeah, I had so much bandwidth, Buddha, but okay, all right. You can watch it. Funhouse 101, 2.1. Yeah.
Finally, my sting operation for the FBI has paid off.
Yeah. Just rip your face off. I knew it!
I'm trying to figure out if I was a good influence on him or a bad influence. That's quite sure.
Yeah, he was generous with me too. Like I've been out of the gaming circle for like 5 or 10 years, and I was like a kind of a guest at one of the gaming things, and he took me aside. He's like, "Hey Phil, don't tell anyone what your character is, but I'm gonna give you the stats. These are the other characters like level 3 or level 4. You are gonna be the god of wine and sex." So, you're welcome.
You play one of his characters then. Okay.
He loved that secret character trope.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he did that with me too, where he and I had a one-on-one. We had a lot of one-on-one games. It was a Rifts game, and I was playing a Cosmo Knight, which is like a super superhero kind of thing. Like you can fly into a sun and you're fine. And that game went on for a while. Then at one point we had a Rifts game session that he put together with a bunch of people. He said, "Brian, I want you to play in this, but don't tell everyone you're a Cosmonite. Like you're undercover as it's just an elf guy, right?"
An elf.
So then it did
A beautiful elf.
Yeah,
It's the most beautiful elf in
gets
the
to the end of the
world.
session, and he wants me to reveal my power and all this, and everyone's mad at me. You're all wrong. You're this big power guy. Thanks, love. That kind of story. Yeah.
Remember we used Expeditious Retreat to steal my kill? So we're playing this D&D game. There's a spell called Expeditious Retreat. It's supposed to let you run faster away from the battle. And at that time, if you killed a big boss, you got more experience. So he looks at me, because I'm about to kill this guy and get this experience. He's like, so he cast this spell to let him steal the kill. And he's just like, for the next 15 years of my life, he's like, "Hey, remember the time I took that guy for you at D&D? How's it going?" Dennis.
So my family now also, we have twice as many Denny's in our life than we had before. It was the first time that I think we stayed over for New Year's, and we were there. Those were the best parties ever. I love that. It will always be a memorable time in my life. But we were getting ready to go to. We're talking about Denny's all morning. We're gonna get this the Grand Slam breakfast. We were talking about how awesome the Grand Slam breakfast. I think you were gonna meet us there.
Tremendous 12.
Yes. Yeah. Well, no, not the Tremendous 12. We were going with the Denny's ones. Yeah.
Grand Slam?
The Grand Slams, all that, and we're talking about how awesome they are. And yeah, we're gonna go get them. We're gonna go out and you're gonna meet us there for breakfast. We get there, and I'm like, seeing the green sign as we pull in, and I'm going, Grand Slam breakfast. We pull in, and sure enough, this is where we're stopping. We're gonna eat here. I'm like, Dennis, you know this is Perkins, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Perkins. You said we're going to Denny's. You called a couple people. They're meeting us at Denny's. So from henceforth, Perkins is now Denny's.
Back when I first met Dennis, I had bought it was a Gateway computer desktop. Never opened the thing up because I was always scared about it, and it's like, how's all these parts inside of it? Dennis was like, we can upgrade certain things because the computer game is a little slow. So since that day on, like the outside of my computer case was never fully put back on. That way there's more airflow and upgrade hard drives and graphics cards and more RAM. Well, don't have enough, you should upgrade your motherboard. So yank all the stuff out, but your power supply is too low. Let's just say $1,000 after that and mail in rebates. Because I needed to have a case with lights on it and fans. And yeah, ever since then, build my own desktops. Never did look cool yet, but it's coming.
Dennis was sort of like a dealer in that way, like addictions and like magic cards. He got us into our magic card addictions and gaming in general. Maybe the story is that he's like a really bad person.
So he's got the innocence. Yeah. It just comes natural.
The first comes for free. Yeah.
Right.
You'd always say Dennis was here to do it together. Whatever he could make the group happen, Dennis was always here to, let's get the group together, let's go do something, let's do something fun, and he would always do that. And we're like, well, I don't really feel like doing that. Oh, come on, I love a great time.
He was instrumental in our Friday night wows.
Yeah, you
That got
just sit
so
there.
many people this group together.
Yeah, exactly. Kept a lot of us there. Probably way past when we really wanted to play. Many times.
But to add into that, I also remember us all getting together, and Dennis is off by himself someplace again, and that's where everybody would yell at Dennis. Dennis, what are you doing? And you can actually pronounce Dennis with emphasis on both syllables of the word. It's instead of saying one harder than the other, people would, Dennis, where are you? Well, we're all going to get together at 7, and at 8 o'clock, we're still looking for Dennis, but we're all there.
He's dead.
He had to make a margarita and get a slice of apple pie.
Oh, God.
Pickling and
French silk pie.
Yeah, French silk pie.
God. I made some Irish coffee, too.
Irish.
The spiced rum margaritas. That's
Right.
Spiced
And
rum
French silk pie.
margaritas. Hey, it's pretty good.
The drinks. Speaking of the drinks, I love one of my favorite stories is Dennis was he was ill and I'm going to be better. I'm going to take care of myself here. I'm not going to drink this these sodas and all this crappy stuff. So he comes to Justin's house in the basement. He brought his water to drink. He says, "I'm bringing water. I'm going to drink water." We're like, "Oh, okay, that's great. Drink more water." And it's like some, I don't know the exact brand, but like Wall, Sam's Choice or whatever. Water drink. Water drink. Water flavor. That's what it was. And we're like, oh, okay, Dennis, your water. And we look, and water was like the third ingredient.
So I drank one.
Yeah.
So I drank one of these, and I was twice as thirsty as I was.
My mouth is dry now.
But they taste good. So I'm like, my body's drying up. He's like, yeah, it's water flavored. I'm like, oh.
Dennis, this isn't water. Go back, get him out and do
Or
it.
the Dennis pocket cheese. He showed up to gaming and he reached in his pocket and brought out a block of cheddar cheese. Who wants a piece of the most loving guy on the planet? Who wants some of my cheese? They want cheese? Pocket cheese?
Bring his own knife.
Yeah. I want your pocket cheese, Dennis.
What cheese come from your pocket?
I'm going to sell it.
saltine. So
Oh.
Swiss cheese.
Yeah, pocket and his bag of lettuce. We're gonna sell it. Oh, I love that guy. Oh God.
If I remember right, it was ranch too.
Oh yes.
Lathered it
Oh.
up. The whole bottle.
Oh, we're gonna sell it. That's not a salad, man. It's pocket cheese.
So I have a question for those. So I worked with Dennis at a pizza place in the Dells, and Aaron did too, and Phil and Mark. And when we would go to Madison on days off and go to the mall, what would
Sbarro's?
when we didn't have to work at the pizza place that day, what would Dennis get for lunch in Madison?
Sbarro's.
He'd get pizza.
That's right.
That's really good.
Pepperoni pizza. But Dennis, you know we're gonna eat that when we get back to the place we work today, right? I like this stuff better.
More Ponderosa.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
That's how he suckered you in.
Did you guys make extra pizzas and go swap them for go-kart rides?
I know what you're talking about.
That was like one year. That was early years, right?
Remember that? Go-kart rides.
Dennis was the at that pizza place, though he was the responsible one.
Yeah, he was the moral compass.
While the rest of us were doing whatever it is we were doing.
Yeah, he was the straight man to everyone else's
He
comment.
didn't want to leave us without having pizzas because he was the nice one.
And we didn't care about that.
I remember when I first had white sauce. He's like, "I'm gonna save your life, Buddha. You're gonna watch me make it." He started pouring liquidy glue in it. He's like, that's when he's like, "If you live by the white sauce, you die by the white sauce." I'm like, I don't want to eat that stuff ever again. Of course, the next day I was like, "Hey, it's pretty good though."
Or his spaghetti.
Yeah, spaghetti dinner.
Yes. Oh God, the
yeah.
man could cook. Which was? Yeah. He's genius.
Which he would always announce by saying the secret ingredient.
Laura, what was when you guys visited us in New York? What was Dennis's favorite thing that he did? He watched Star Trek. Lots and lots of Star Trek. Next Generation.
I don't know about New York. The Simpsons was Green Bay.
Oh.
Luke.
He could quote the first 15 years of Simpsons by memory. I mean, it was amazing.
You know, like when certain writers or whatever else will circle out of the episodes. It's like, guess when Conan left. Sure, his own talk show. I still think it was, I don't remember which titles he used it for, but Killer Care Bear. I remember him talking about, it's like, I think some other kid might have stole my name. I think I saw it on some online forum or whatever else, and they're using it. That was one of the times I actually saw him mad.
Yeah, you never saw him mad.
No.
It was amazing. Well,
Every once in a while, most of the time.
mad. He's like, Buddha kill, Buddha smash.
I'll say I never saw him at Laura. I mean, maybe.
Well, I mean,
I've heard rumors, but.
Every time we'd be gaming, you'd have to check in with Laura.
Yep.
And he'd call and he'd say, "Hey Laura, it's your husband Dennis."
Wait, which Dennis?
It's not Bill, it's not Steve.
Why are you talking to me? It's funny.
So anyways.
Getting away from games or whatever else, I still remember him and how much he loved that Total Gym. Going downstairs, sliding up and down for a few times, and I think then it kind of stopped for a few months. You can't get back in a kick.
Yeah.
You should try this. I was like, I should, but. See, you guys still have that?
I need to update about it.
Do that or how many treadmills? Sorry. One came from me, which Laura told him, "Why the heck are you taking this? Because I need a little TLC." And just like, you can make that work. Just like computer stuff.
Yeah, so I think he got back in the running, and it wasn't fair because he had muscle memory from his cross country days or something. There he is, still gray, sweating like crazy. He's got his headband on, and just go run for 30 minutes, no problem. And then as
Here's some older stories. I know. I mean, I can get back to like, I think I met him about 3rd grade, and he's the only person I know who hasn't really aged. Like just the way he talked. He would talk to like adults like the way he did like 3 years ago when he was in 3rd grade. Like he'd just come up to my parents like, "So hey, here you Shirley, what's happening? So, I see. Yeah, you're still working on a 401k. What's up?" And just like he had no consciousness about things. Like just totally like unaffected by things, like not embarrassed by anything. And it's even like when we tried to shame him like purposely throughout high school and just like make him feel bad and stuff like that, it's just like, oh, screw you guys. And that was the extent of it.
Did he ever feel shame at anything?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever a time where I felt shame with Dennis at all at anything, any single one thing. Does anybody have Jeep stories about Dennis? Because he talked about Jeeps all the time, but I don't have any good stories.
Yeah, I have one. We drove down to a Comic-Con in Chicago, and he's like, "Well, we'll take my Jeep. It's in really good shape." And he would love to talk about how the reason Jeeps were so great is because the parts can be swapped out in the field so easily, and they're so reliable. And on the drive back, the car broke down. And it's because not the belt that did the thing broke, but because the belt that runs the thing that turns the second belt broke. So like not even the thing that, like the part that we actually didn't need, that wasn't serving a specific purpose, broke, caused the whole thing to sort of cascade and break down, and it got pulled back to his house on a flatbed. But he loved to talk about how reliable and
Oh, that Jeep
bulletproof they were.
Cherokee he had? That's
Do you still have it?
Over 260,000 miles.
Yeah, but you bronzed that and you put it on a...
He put so much new metal on that body, though. I mean, it's
well, not new metal, but
But she kept both.
that's a collector.
That's the Jeep of the water right
Man, wasn't that the convention where Peter Mayhew was there?
Yeah.
So Peter Mayhew played Chewbacca in Star Wars. So, I don't know, you know, I wasn't there. But.
Well, just he was. It was his first convention, and it was like my 3rd or 4th. And so there's a lot of nerd celebrity there, which like is exciting to a point for me. And Dennis was completely nonplussed by it. I'm like, oh, look, Dennis, there's Peter Mayhew. That's who played Chewbacca. Oh, that's cool. And then we get some pizza. And yeah, like not a lot affected him.
So how many Jeeps did you have in the driveway at once? How many Jeeps did you have in the driveway at once?
Just 2.
How many Jeeps in the driveway?
Because it seemed like you had like 3 of them, and he would make sure one of them was working at a time.
No, it was always the same one. He was trying to make sure it was working.
It seems like 3 because
I'm 3rd generation.
That's right. That's that thing.
It was nice that he jumped on board with it. But then he always had to tell me fun facts about like during World War II. Did you know? And then like, fill the blank, and I'm going, okay, that's
I think the true Jeeps were Dennis's sandals.
Oh yeah.
Those things last 6 Gen Cons of walking around and snow or sun. I mean, those things, they were sandals in the academic sense. Oh, they had a sole on them and they were straps. But they long since gave up the ghost of supporting any foot whatsoever. But those things were proudly worn.
That's why I wore that in the winter.
Yeah. The original dad saw, yeah. Dennis's sandals were legendary.
So I intended to bring them here, but they're in a tote that's missing. It's a bright green tote. You cannot find it. Mom went through the house with me to look for this. Gone. It'll appear later.
And they will be with Buddha's magic cards.
No! With a note. It's been me the whole time. Just a picture of him with 2 thumbs up like this. Smoke.
Anybody ever have a successful Leroy Jenkins raid in World of Warcraft?
With Dennis? Numerous times.
Okay.
Dennis's house, someone would say, "Oh, I'm dead," and we would all wipe every time.
Like the canary in the coal mine.
At least I got margaritas.
The worst is when he became a paladin, he would start to wipe and then he would bubble, but he would always be the tank because he didn't want to play any role but the tank. And then he would be the only one to survive while the rest of us wiped around him.
Maybe that's why you like the tank.
That paladin, he didn't like the first one because he was a mage and he hated it. But once he got that paladin, God, you could not get that guy to stop like nagging you to play all the time.
Well, one thing about Dennis, I think that we can all agree on is he connects people. We're all here because of him. So I think we should all try to work hard to keep that bit of our lives going. Keep that bit of Dennis in everybody's life, because he was the glue of a lot of things.
I hope people use the hub.
Yeah,
Right?
he was very much appreciated. I hope he knew it.
I think he looked at relationships like the cheat. Like he was a mechanic.
Yeah.
In a relationship.
Kept him going.
Yeah, it's great. Let's put the work in, whatever it took.
He could even get my husband to talk, so, you know. We'd go we'd be over for the day, and I'd turn around, and Ryan's in the middle of a conversation with Dennis. And he could talk to anyone.
Yes.
He's my favorite son-in-law.
Aw.
The only one, but he's still my favorite.
What's your favorite Dennis story?
Not safe for group, is that?
Yeah. So there I was in college, see, and this man, this tall, blonde, beautiful man.
Hey, I tried breaking up with him after 3 months.
You can't break up
And
with Dennis.
You guys
Well,
were gaming or something was going on, and gosh. But anyway, so the end result is obviously.
Dennis, we're breaking up. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Yep. Powers.
The difference when he met you is before he met you, I remember a story of in that same apartment or house I was talking about earlier. We were going to be gaming, but Dennis had a date. And he showed up partway through our session, like sweating because he had biked or run from downtown La Crosse to our apartment because that date just wasn't working out. Decided he'd rather be gaming. Then you came along.
Yeah. He didn't show up for a couple games. Like, what the heck happened?
Then you came along and you would only game 5 nights a week. 4.5.
You're always there, though. You always found some type of solace in a different area, like all the computers or game boards.
Or sampling margaritas. Is this spiced rum? It's delicious.
I didn't know Dennis for very long, but my wife said that she was going to set me up on a play date with a friend of hers. So he's a big nerd too. And the first time we seriously went out was driving down to Nance and Appleton to play Riffs, which I'd always heard bad things about, and gave me one book that had no rules on how to create a character. I'm agonizing on how to create I'm looking through the Old West Riffs book, found something cool, didn't have a character sheet, couldn't find any online, and he's like, you don't need a character sheet, you're gonna be fine. And I was basically looking through the book the whole game for cool weapons. I'm like, all right, I'll go with that. That was a great session, and we had many more great sessions after that, and felt like I knew him for years on those card drives down at Appleton. And then towards the end. A lot of watching Key and Peele on YouTube and playing Mario Kart, which I'm terrible at. And I'm sitting next to this guy that's hanging on for dear life, and I'm like, I went from wanting to be sympathetic for my new friend and be comforting and helpful to like, son of a, like, how are you beating me again? And just like completely losing all focus of wanting to be a kind, compassionate friend to like, I gotta unplug your controller or do something, knock into you hard, because like I'm never gonna win if I don't. And I don't think I won a single Mario Kart game, and I had a great time against Dennis. He beat me in Mario Kart a lot. And you'll beat me someday too. But treated me like we'd known each other for years, and it's a special quality in a person. So.
Yeah, Dennis was your friend when you met you. You know, like if you sat down with Smokes, doesn't matter who you were, he'd found some way to connect with you.
So Dennis was also one of the most like creative minds I've known. He would often DM our games, and if he wasn't DMing, he would write up these elaborate stories about his character that he would send by email, and they would be long. And I have work to do, damn it. I can't read always 7 pages of backstory, and I still am finding Dennis character stories in my email that I never quite finished. And I probably, in total, have enough to probably write a small collection of. And by the way, he did most of that stuff while working at his job.
Working, yeah.
One of the times down in Aruba, I don't know how he figured it out. He made a way. He brought like an emulator and hooked it up to the TV and had it like a controller. And played Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! In the Super Nintendo on this ancient TV in another country.
He was the prince of Aruba.
Yeah.
I created a story that basically Dennis owns half of Aruba, right? So people believed it, yeah. Yeah, I remember like, so Dennis, what are you doing right now? I'm at work. So what are you doing? I'm watching a movie.
The hours working with him on getting movies to work at. It was at his work. Oh my God. The amount of times he would call me at work. Like, I can't get this to work, John. Why can't I'm bored? Dennis is not supposed to. Why aren't you working? You're at work. Someone's going to be flying in here for a couple hours. You got some time to kill. I miss Dennis's big heart. That's the hardest part for me. Dennis was always warm on a shitty day. He would always make you feel really, really good about yourself. Always have a story, always make you laugh. I don't miss Dennis complaining about politics endlessly. He would do that for hours. I'm like, Dennis, got it, understood, got it. But he would never stop. He was always relentless, and that was always what was great about him.
Yeah, I remember Dennis really being, in the last couple of months, I would come up to visit a little bit, and he brought me down to see his gaming table downstairs and everything, and I'm just kind of getting a window of what this is all about. You all are into it way more than I am and everything. But he's like,
guys, he's not a gamer, it's okay.
I'm not a gamer. But anyways, he was telling me all about it and everything, and we came back upstairs, and he sat in his chair for a little bit and talked to me about, his diagnosis and everything. But what he emphasized to me is that it was just important for him. He had control over the situation in terms of being able to say goodbye to people, and that was important to him. So I think about Dennis the optimist and bringing out that side of the situation. That was pretty powerful to me.
Yeah, I don't remember him ever having a bad day. Like even if he was like complaining about something, he did it like with like an inner sort of like tearfulness, like, yeah, it kind of sucks. Yeah. But,
I love when Dennis thought he's being mean. Dennis was always like, I'm being mean to you, Buddha. I'm like, how are you being mean to me? Well, I didn't offer you soda. I'm sorry. But he took so much pride that he just was the nicest person I knew. And even him being mean or sad was him worrying about everybody else around him. Well, I didn't mean to be so mean to Buddha. Like, you're not being mean to anybody, man. You being mean is giving people hugs. You know, you being sad is making sure everybody else having a good day. Like, that's what I miss. It's my friend Dennis. Just, you know, like you said, like he just had a really good way of just making sure that everybody else is being taken care of around him.
He said that all the way to the end. You know, saying, I think his exact words were, you know, dying is easy and everybody being left behind is hard. You know, even with the diagnosis that was grim, he was still worried about, like, you know, make sure that this happens, and, you know, and worried about other people. You know.
So, Justin, can you mention about the game? About Avernus and his character?
Oh, on how? So I would work a lot of 12-hour shifts. I would drive home, and on my way home, I would get that call. And so we had some conversations. This is not when he was at work, but I mean, we did have a lot of more of those conversations than when he worked. But he actually had laid out the longer game we were playing when he knew that he wasn't going to survive his diagnosis. He said, "This is what I want. These are the milestones that I want to have happen in my character." So we went over like, okay, this is how we're probably going to play it out. He's like, "Well, I want this to happen at this point, and I want this to happen at this point." So he actually laid out for our group what his character would do for the rest of the game.
I like the story. Like I said, there's a lot of positive stories and good stories. I want to tell a mischievous one about Dennis. So, as you guys, there's been these stories about gaming, and we've come and gone, and groups get together and break up. Well, some of us in this group that Justin was just talking about, we'd gamed for a little while, and we were talking about bringing Matt into the group and joining in with that. And I've known Matt for some time, and on and off, and we get along very well, but Dennis just could not resist the fact that, to be polite, you're like, hey, there's this new guy that wants to join us. You know, we got to check with everybody, make sure they're okay. Well, I wasn't around, and so Dennis just took great delight in bending that to become this story of me not wanting Matt to join it, and that I hated Matt, and then that Matt hated me, and so Dennis just loved. There was this period of time where the two of us didn't interact by happenstance, and Dennis just loved to like play that up. Like,
Ryder hates his guts.
I don't think Matt's gonna come because he heard you're gonna be here, and then he'd do the same thing to Matt. Oh yeah, Ryder's not coming. He was all about it, but he heard you're gonna make it this time, so he's not gonna be here. And he just loved that story. So then even when the final time that all of us were in the same room, he still was like, he had to kind of own up to the fact that he was the one that there was no great conflict, but Dennis has been the instigator all. We don't really like it.
I don't want this to get awkward.
Yeah. Could be that Dennis saw through our thin charade.
We would always go for New Year's Eve, and one of the things we really enjoyed doing there was playing Pictionary. And turns out I am a horrible drawer, and so is Dennis. But we could guess each other's pictures, and it was amazing because no one else in the room could get anything out of what we drew on there, but we could just get each other's, and then he'd tried to explain it. People are like, no, there's no way you got what she drew from that.
We broke after one of them. We spent 15 minutes analyzing. No one else could figure out how the two of them knew what the heck was going on. It was amazing.
It's Walter Cronkite on his xylophone, of course.
Yeah, that's a hippopotamus on a motorcycle. Duh.
It was kind of magical in some ways. Like, I remember going on a boat ride on the lake, and we ran out of gas, like, as a storm was coming in. After I think we broke one of the seats because it was going up and down so much, like, we just, like, crashed through, and it's like, yeah, no problem, we can get through it. Just gotta prime the pump a little bit more. And he was, like, not concerned at all, like, storm clouds are coming in, and it's getting dark, and he's like, that's fine. And he somehow gets the engine started, and we get enough momentum going that we like float the last 100 yards in, and we're like paddling with our hands. He's like, see, no problem. He was the one who was always most prepared when we went camping too, despite my best efforts to thwart him.
Off in the little canoe, which actually Brian has now, and it looks way better.
Oh, was it the Banu or which?
No.
Remember that birch canoe that they
Okay.
found, I think in Boston, on a curve somewhere?
Okay.
Yeah. So I was trying to figure out why are they racing? They kept passing us, and it turned out that you guys were like taking out water.
Not a problem.
No problem. Yeah.
I got that canoe from Laura, and
Oh yeah.
my daughter and I repaired it last summer, actually. Painted it in Wolf's Dragoons colors, which is a BattleTech thing, and put the logo on there from the unit that we played when we played together. It floats now, it doesn't leak, but it is quite tippy.
Yeah.
So I sit in the bottom, not up where you're supposed to sit.
Hey, those people put it by the curb on Lost Island. For sale, not for sale, it was up by there, so is Fairgate. It's gone. Put the truck around, threw it in the back, way away.
Hole, no hole.
I remember we were driving to Dennis one time in high school in that big red truck. It was snowing out, you had big wheels, you're so proud. I'm like, Dennis, I'm glad you're driving, you're such a good driver. They said we're in a ditch. Like, Dennis, you're the worst driver ever, why'd you do that? He said, well, I was gonna go through the snowbank and then maybe go over the hood. You know what I do? All the time he was plowing snow at your guys' driveway and he got his big truck stuck, so he had to call my dad and pull him out. And he's like, whoa, I almost got it out, it's not the truck's fault. He's like, yeah. He loves that truck.
There wasn't any snow on the ground in the yard. He plowed it all.
He plowed it all. He used to pick me up every day for school in that Buick LTD.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Every station on the radio always played oldies, no matter where you went.
I come from the 9 down and like every day, yeah.
And also, if you were on a 55 mile per hour road and there's a 35 mile per hour sign, you're going 55, you hit the sign, and then you're
You gotta read the signs.
I found out from Matthew that, you want to share it, or do you want me to share it for you? Okay. That apparently Fridays after school were super awesome because that's when they would all go to McDonald's. And a lot of french fries. Just hang out.
Oh, French fries. Oh, McDonald's French fries are the best. Yeah.
And it explains why when I would get home from work, I'm like, "Where's dinner?"
Well, at least everybody made it up here. Because every time Dennis would bring that Jeep and the boat up here, it's like, what's going to break down next? It's like, our nemesis coming up here.
The boat?
Something's going to break down.
One time you made it all up here, it was the getting back that
Yeah.
was.
You broke my Jeep, blew up the radiator.
Yes.
You remember that? Yes. And Abby was car sick on the way home. Probably like 30 minutes away from like the worst day ever for
I took the boat because they were overheating. I was going to take it down to Boston and park it. Well, I got as far as Marshfield, and then the bearing broke on me. The whole tire was coming off. So some other guy in the pickup truck flew around me and got me over. And then we had to manage. Then he had to go almost drop them off, and then come all the way back over so we could get the boat down to Boston. It was a long day for it.
Yes. And Ryan came over and got the boat out of his garage. It was basically that set above the trailer. The rest of the wheels.
Yeah, bearings. He'd replace all the bearings.
I remember when you made me,
Yeah, those are new bearings on there.
you made me carry a whole fuel oil barrel on one of your basements for you guys. It's like, hey, Booty, you're pretty strong, right? I'm like, yeah, why? And then so we're in the basement, and there's this fuel oil barrel. He's like, okay, well, I'll take the top. Okay. So I'm like, come up these stairs, like getting crushed to death. He's like, come on, Buddha, Buddha angry. You got it. Yeah.
You mean the stairway where it's right here?
Dennis would actually always wait for me to hit my head.
Classic.
I'm gonna die. Buddha angry.
We go fishing out in that bay up in Green Bay with them. I said, oh, it's good fishing, it's good fishing. We'll go out. Everybody else on the boat, you can see all around, they're catching everything. No, nothing. Sure, there's fish. His definition of rough and calm water, oh, it's smooth.
Blind optimism.
When he was around 10 years old, and also my wife said, you know, you haven't seen him in a long time, you better go check. So I went outside, comes around the corner covered in mud. And he said, can I borrow the garden tractor? I said, why do you need that? Well, me and my friend, we went for a ride down through the woods, and now it's stuck in the middle of the creek. They better drag it down and pull it out. We're all got full of it before we got it out.
Freezy Pops.
Oh yeah, Freezy Pops. So one summer we played video games every day, our Magic card or whatever. So we kept buying these cases of Freezy Pops to the point where I think I had like 7 cavities. And to the point where it was getting bad enough where we'd buy a case of Freezy Pops, like 50 Freezy Pops in a case. I mean, we didn't freeze, we just cut the top off and drink them like Jews. So one day though, we're like, hey Dennis, is there any more Freezy Pops? And he's like, no, there's no more Freezy Pops. No more in the whole house. Like, wait a minute, we bought like 6 cases yesterday. I went in that side room in their basement.
Well, throughout the night, he would appear with a Freezy Pop.
Yeah, so there's no more. This is definitely the last one. So I open the door and here's like this giant mound of Freezy Pops. And I'm like, Smoker! He's like, oh, those are the one flavors you like, or something like that.
And he loved Andy's candies.
Oh.
And I like them too. I remember it was right after Christmas. I had gotten one of those boxes of Andy's candies. And we were gaming in the basement, and he opens the drawer, and there they are. He says, "Oh, Brian, can I have some of these Andy's candies?" Sure, knock yourself out. But a couple hours later, they're gone. He's like, "Oh, I don't feel so good."
Everything Brian just said about Andy's candies, but with cheese curds on the drive down to Brian's house. That's the story.
And mushrooms with a couple of pounds of butter.
And pocket cheese.
Oh, yes. Yes.
The dad monster?
Fair game, right? Yeah.
Dennis always had the best shirts.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Which
And always
carries
a
on
different
Matthew
one.
and Addie pretty well. That's good. You're going to carry that on, Matthew. You and Addie, you guys do a pretty good job of that.
I didn't get some of his shirt.
That's the shirt thing. Matt and I have, you've noticed, both wearing very similar shirt design.
Oh, we're gonna show coat off
This,
here.
yes.
Okay.
This goes back to, I don't know, right around college or shortly after. He actually didn't have many like nerdy shirts at the time. I know, it's weird. We
So he didn't always have the best.
Right. He didn't. Matt and I always had some kind of nerd shirt, and we'd always
There were Aruba
rib him
shirts
about
before
it.
that.
What are you wearing? It's from a polo or something.
Like we're playing Star Wars, so we're both wearing Star Wars shirts, but Dennis shows up in a black polo with a like gas station logo on it or something.
So you had all the Star Wars shirts and he had to catch
He
up.
would steal mine. I've seen photos of him wearing mine.
So finally, he's like, all right, I'll go get a nerd shirt. And he comes downstairs and he's got this thing. It says Road Warrior on it.
It's this shirt,
It's
but
this
in
shirt.
black.
It's black. It's got the semi, and in front of it's this like Conan the Barbarian figure. And I'm like, where did you get that? Oh, I got it at a truck stop.
Well, no, he didn't get it at a truck stop. He got it at
Oh,
Woody's, I think.
oh, your truck stop. Okay. And so that was his nerd shirt then, is this Road Warrior shirt. So we joked about that, and then Dennis and Laura had these made for us where we each had our own characters. Like this was my druid at the time, whatever, and that was Matt's rogue. I think Laura, you must have grabbed the image and made these for us. And so we were the Road Warriors for a while.
And this was during the era when we were playing Rock Band and Guitar Hero a lot. So we had a rock band called the Road Warriors. We'd travel around the world. We'd destroy hotel rooms.
Very much Spinal Tap kind of.
Right, exactly. And then that same Comic-Con I was just describing earlier, I wore this down to that Comic-Con. And at Comic-Cons they have an artist alley where artists just line up at their table and they can draw you a custom or they'll sell you stuff they've already drawn. And that's when Dennis told me, oh, I stole that image on your shirt. The artist may even be here. And so I felt like I had to walk around the rest of the day like this.
He's got the images on his Discord server.
Matt, you have the original Road Warrior shirt, right?
I do. I have that shirt framed in my game room.
Before that was all Aruba shirts. That's all I remember from pre-1994.